It's on to me?
On to you.
All right, perfect. We're moving right along. Come on up, Austin. Austin Jones is joining us from Keller Williams Clear Lake. I know Austin through his brother Kevin, but he's not very impressive. And so we got Austin to come and share a little bit as a perspective, right, on the way to do this. And I like to set up any of our interviews just to really dig it into it. But before we get started, and really what you're here is, give us a little glimpse of who you are, meaning kind of give us your background and kind of what your business looks like today.
So a hodgepodge of experiences probably brought me here. So I own a music school in Deer Park, Lessons with Austin. I opened that in 2011. Before that, I was a school teacher and taught, and before that I was in ministry, full-time ministry. So a lot of teaching experience and entrepreneurship. I learned a lot of lessons as an entrepreneur over the years. Made a lot of mistakes, had a lot of good things happen despite my mistakes. So we had a lot of successes there and got to real estate 4 years ago.
4 years ago, great.
I found out we were going to have our last child, and so decided to change things up a bit. And it's been an incredible.
So why real estate?
Why not, right? Why not?
Anybody else here? Because why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it was something that I was thinking about when I was growing up or anything like that. I don't know. Was anybody, raise your hand if you thought you were going to be a real estate agent when you were 6 years old and the teacher asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Nobody's raised their hand.
One.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
Well, you did it. Congratulations.
Yes.
All right. Real estate is probably one of the most powerful, the most powerful wealth building tools. And my perspective was it was an opportunity to get paid to learn, to invest in real estate. And so ultimately those are our goals. And it was seemed to be the most practical and efficient way to hit those goals. So.
Okay, so give us a glimpse today. What is your role and what's your business look like?
I'm the rainmaker on the Jones Realty Group. We're a small group. I took over. There was a team in our office called, I think it was called the Kevin Allen Jones Home Team. I joined the team and then I fired the guy. His name was Kevin. Told him that he needed to focus on other things. He agreed. I took over the team. Half the people on the team quit immediately, which ended up, just between you, me, and the fence post, ended up being a blessing because I was able to rebuild things and really give 100% of focus. So they called me the rainmaker. I was really uncomfortable with that term. I thought it was pretty weird until I realized that the rainmaker is responsible for the droughts. And so when things were not going the way that they were planning to go, it was my fault. It was my responsibility.
Yep.
So I took responsibility for that. So we're a very small, high efficient, high energy team. We're level 4. We're transitioning between part 1 and part 2. So if you know the organizational models, we have an admin, our director of operations, we have a listing coordinator. We also have an inbound, outbound sales agent and showing agent as well. So
Okay.
No buyer's agents, no listing agents.
So give us a perspective of what your production looks like.
So right now for Q3, we're at 5 mil. So we're on pace to hitting about 25 to 30 mil for 2020 in volume. The number that we like to focus on is our profit. Q1 this year, our profit increased over Q1 last year. You ready for this?
Yeah.
70,000%.
Okay. Percentage can always make it sound fun, right?
Yeah. I like
Oh, yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's because we made like 7 cents in 2020.
So you can always make numbers make sense to you, right? In the story, get that. Okay, so let's just jump into the challenges and struggles. So just be transparent. You got into business basically with his brother. His brother Kevin is team leader OP of the Clear Lake and Pearland Market Centers. So you kind of inherited that. So he just handed it to you on a silver platter.
Yeah,
right?
it wasn't as silver as it.
Yeah. So tell us some of the challenges.
It was
really
a silver
dig it.
platter, but what exactly was on that silver platter? Not to be mentioned. The numbers look good on the outside, but the issue was our expenses were out of control.
Mm.
And so the expenses were killing our profits. So
Yeah.
we were in a deficit. We were running a deficit. And he had some really great opportunities, and I encouraged him to take advantage of that. And I said, let me take over this. We made a deal, became partners. He let me take over that, and that's been 100% of my focus is focusing on the team the past year.
So you and I were having a brief conversation is right in this industry, you'll see lots of people who will, I don't know if hide, they get the spotlight on volume and units, and we go, oh, they're the greatest thing ever. And yet they're not making any money.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the case on what you inherited.
Yeah. And I learned that to be very, very true. You should never compare your insides to other people's outsides. And I know for me as a competitive person, it's very challenging because you're not always going to win the highest volume, but what you got to do is look at yourself. So we had our Jones Realty Group had a meeting, and we're discussing the competitive nature of agents. Is anybody here competitive? So I told my guys one morning, I said, I'm very competitive. I get driven. I see numbers. I get motivated. And I decided one day I was going to identify one agent. There was one guy that I wanted to identify, and I was going to just beat him. And I was just going to focus on one guy and beat him. And I was like, the more I thought about this guy, the uglier he looked. The more I thought about this guy, the more I just wanted to beat him. And he didn't even know I was thinking about him that way. And I said, the more I thought about him, I got a picture and I put him on the slideshow, and I said, I'm gonna pull this picture up. I want you to see who I'm talking about. It was myself a year ago. This is my biggest competition, is this knucklehead right here. I gotta beat myself, you know. I don't know what other people are going through. Everybody else is battling their own battles. And some people, and I would say most of us, we probably are pretty gifted at making things look better than they actually are. But I know how good things are. I know how bad things are.
Yeah.
And so competing with myself. So yeah, our numbers went backwards in 2021, but in truth, the profit went up.
Okay. So if you were to coach me on profitability as an agent, and you were just to put this in a simple steps, where would you begin when it comes to profitability?
Well, with profitability, I would ask you, where does profitability come from? And in my experience, most business owners, most entrepreneurs, their answer is increased revenues. Yeah. That's a lie. It's not true. So what my coach did with me in January or February of 2020, he said, just print out your bank statement. And I printed it out. He said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go through and you're going to write an A, B, C, or D next to everything on your bank statement. Everything that you cannot function without, put an A. These are things in your business that you cannot function without. The things that you enjoy, that you love, put a B next to it. C to the things you know you don't need. And D, we call this the WTFs. Like, why are you spending money on stuff like this? And he did this exercise with a group of us, and people had a lot of D's. So we just crossed out the D's and the C's. He said, you know, what would be easiest thing to do is just get a different debit card. And then just worry about people when they start calling you. And we cut out about 40-50% of our expenses in just 1 week. That was the catalyst.
Give us an example. Give us something that would show up on the A list and something that would show up on the D, C or D list.
So we reduced our office from $2,500 a month to $250 a month.
Okay.
That made a tremendous difference.
Okay.
We had some extra tools. Boomtown, Real Geeks, I'll just drop names. Like, we don't need any of that. About a month or two before I did that exercise, I was calling a Boomtown lead, and I was on the phone. She was asking about a house, nicest lady in the world, and she goes, Austin? And it was somebody I knew that I paid for that lead, and I said, never again. So paying for lead CRMs, when you have Command, and there's a lot of free options out there.
Yeah.
I think if we measure the return on our investment versus our organic lead generating. I think that's a huge missed expense cut that a lot of agents are missing in my experience. And then CoStar, different tools like that. But another one that's really hard is payroll. We've got to be real with the people on our team, and it's very difficult to remove somebody. But if they're not bringing at least 2-to-1, 3-to-1, Gary says 4-to-1 preferably, you're probably not doing them any good by keeping them on your team, and you're probably doing more damage to the other people on your team by keeping them there as well. So if we're trying to grow a business, we got to make difficult choices like that sometimes.
Yep. Okay, so it sounds like to me, let's go to the lead generating model. You got pretty clear because of the budget conversation, the expense conversation, you got really clear on your lead generating model. So what does your lead generating model look like
So
today?
with the amount of contacts that we have, if you've taken classes like Bold or Never Ending Referrals, almost everyone in here, they have a database that's worth potentially millions of dollars. In all honesty, your database has an infinite value to it if you really know how to work it, if you know how to have those conversations. So the only thing working against us was time. So we did the math, we worked backwards. If we want to hit, 30 million or 40, 60 million, what does that look like per quarter? How many closings do we have to have? We know what our average volume is. It all came down to working a schedule. And as I read through the MREA and as I watch the millionaire real estate agents that Gary Keller interviews, that's one thing that they all have. They all have a schedule and they stick with it, and they have a goal for that schedule. So our specific lead gen model, it's very simple. 9 to 12, see who can hit 40 contacts first. If you don't hit 40 contacts by 12, take another hour or two in the afternoon. That's it. We know that if we make that our number one domino, our number one priority to hit 40 contacts per person, and that's high. I think an average agent should have no excuse hitting 20 contacts. Would you agree? 20 contacts a day, nobody has an excuse not to hit 20 contacts a day. If you can do 5 to 10 an hour, you can knock it out in 3 or 4 hours, right? So 9 to 12, lead gen, the appointment, everything else follows after that.
So it sounds so simple and easy.
Success is simple.
So tell us about
But
that
it-
9 to 12
but
and
it's-
getting other people on board too.
It is simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy because habit is a muscle, willpower is a muscle, and it takes a lot of repeated behavior. Somebody asked me, it sounds like you lead gen a lot. How often do you lead gen? And I said, how often do you eat? Do you want to eat every day? Do you want to feed your family every day? That's what you got to do in this business. If you want to grow a successful company, you have to lead gen. In fact, if you have clients that are business owners, they got to do the same thing. Whether you own a crawfish company or you own a shoe store, you have to have leads to get the business, period, every day.
Yep. Okay, so go back to a little bit of this time blocking, because 9 to 12, yes. Yeah. Talk. Yeah, she wants to know about the 40 contacts. What does that mean?
So it can be something as simple as a care call. We use something like the Ford script. How's your family? How's work? How's your family, occupation, recreation, and your dreams? Having those conversations. One of the easiest conversations to have is to ask for help. Hey, Chad, I got this really weird listing. It's a 14-bedroom house in Waco. You know anybody looking at purchasing student housing? Or if you had this listing, what would you do with it? People love it when you ask for advice or ask for help. It just opens that door, and you don't have to sound like you know everything, but it's just a contact is connecting. It's a response. So I prefer 50% phone calls and 50% text messages or emails. But you got to have.
In other words, you're saying that your contact, I know this, and I'm clearing it up for everybody. So contact to you is pretty much saying that someone that you have had a conversation with, and y'all went back and forth, and you have gotten an email, phone number, address.
Correct. they're more than just a lead in the
Okay.
database. There's
Okay,
somebody
great.
that you have established a connection with and earned the right to follow up with.
Okay, great.
So what does your
Thank you.
database look like? What's the size?
Today was 8,400.
Okay, how do you build a database that's 8,000?
One contact at a time.
Okay, so back that up to the beginning. I'm just starting out and I want to build a big database that I have an opportunity to do 40
Everybody pull out
contacts.
your phone. I'll tell you exactly how to start your database. Go to your contacts.
That's if you have an iPhone.
You should be able to do this on an Android. Yeah, the contacts. Scroll all the way down to the very, 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 very bottom. And there's going to be a number there.
Yep, keep going.
Below these, there should be a number all the way at the very bottom. Yeah,
Nope. That means you got a lot. If that's the case, he's really gonna make an example out of you. Give me a number. 400. Okay,
Okay, so 4,000, hundreds, couple of thousands.
Sopana still hasn't found hers because she can't get to Z.
You need a new phone anyway.
What is it? How many? 3,200.
You got some contacts?
There you go.
That's
Anybody else? Yes. 6,000. There you go.
Y'all are rich.
Yes.
You know how much those contacts are worth? Those-
Well, let's even if we subtracted 500 out, you still are rich. Yes.
Very good.
Yep.
So that's a start. How do you get the contacts in your phone? Here's an idea. Save them. Maybe when you talk to people, let me get your number. I don't carry business cards. Can I have your business card? I just ran out. Let me text you my business card. What's your number?
Mhm.
Pretty simple. And then you find ways to add value. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So before you ask for the order, you got to earn something. You got to make a deposit first. Do we have any value that we can add to people? You know, what can I do for you is a good way to start. What are you, what are you working on right now? What's keeping you busy? Have those conversations. Ask great questions.
So what's a great question?
How are you doing?
How you doing?
What time did you wake up this morning? What are you reading right now? Have you read any books that have really like made a difference in your business?
Why, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
Well, right now it's a Gary Keller book. It's on fitness.
Gary Keller wrote a book on fitness.
No, he suggested a book on
Oh.
fitness.
How's that working for you?
Take charge. It's a little foreign to me the way this guy is talking, to be truthful.
That's good. So you take
Take charge.
Yeah.
I'm working on taking charge on areas
I can
of my
keep
life.
I can keep prying.
Yeah.
If you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's great. Some of that sounds like almost like a pattern interrupter because we're used to the same script and a line of questioning. You're just being more authentic and true to you all, who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask great questions. It's one of the best advice I've ever received. Ask great questions.
So it sounds like you're all in command.
I'm in command.
Yeah. Tell us about it. What's that look like? And why command? Why not another system?
Well, it's free
Okay.
and it's pretty simple to use.
Okay.
And it's working. And we're making a big shift to it right now. All of our documents are in there. I mean, it's a simple and easy tool. The other ones that we've used in the past are very, very expensive. They may or may not be as user-friendly as Command. However, in my opinion, it's just a waste of money when you have a resource like that available.
Okay. All right. Be ready for some questions that we can shift a little bit. And so, but I'll go to my next question is what's next? What's for next for you and your team?
So for us, we are waiting for opportunities. So we've been putting away a lot of money since we've been actually profitable, which has been pretty cool. And we're continuing to do the same thing and just do it at a higher level. We are looking at growing our team, but we're waiting for the right people to come along. So we're not in a hurry to add to our team. I cannot say honestly for myself that I'm performing at my highest level of potential. So I'm going to limit people until, I get to the next level. So just to keep pouring in to my team, our goal for next year, 2022, will be 60 million in volume with a less than a level five team. The most that we'll have is a buyer's agent or showing agent. So.
Okay. We get this question a lot. What's your feel on the market and where it's heading in the Houston area?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. And I think if anybody thinks they know what's going to happen, they're probably not the person to listen to. I do believe that data tells stories. So I don't have an opinion, but the data shows the last 2 months, inventory is starting to come up a little bit. We're still multiple offers, but instead of 50 offers, we have 5 offers. Are y'all seeing the same thing? So all I can say is that if things keep trending in that direction, we may level off. I'm pretty optimistic. I don't see a crash coming. I ignored that kind of talk. However, if a crash does come, I have a lot of clients that will be able to take advantage of that. So I'm not too worried. You do want to be prepared for a shift. You want to put 9 months of expenses away and not spend all your money, because a crash could happen, and 9 to 12 months will help you get to the next point. Double up on your lead gen. That's what Gary tells us in shift. Double up on your lead gen.
Okay.
So I have a director of operations, transaction coordinator, and a listing manager. That's on the admin side. So if you look at it as 3 branches of government: admin, it's admin, transaction coordinator, listing coordinator. On the sales side, if you're looking left, the sales side is I have an inbound and an outbound sales agent. So we're interviewing for a second sales agent. And then on the sales side, it's me right now. I do have several agents that show houses for us. We're looking at interviewing a buyer's agent on the right side of that model.
Oh, tell them about that. That's the most, and this is the hardest, is the ISA, OSA making calls.
Yeah.
So tell us what that looks like.
So here's your resource for that. I'd love to talk about this stuff, because being organized is very, very powerful, because we're not spinning around. Get on Connect in agent resources. The new MREA 2.0 org charts are up. I can draw it if you want me to draw it.
Sure. Yeah. Bring it over. Yes.
So agents start off. Let's slide it over here. That way you can see it.
There you go.
Thank you. So when you're an agent solo, you're by yourself. First mistake that most agents make is they bring on another agent. Why? Because you're just splitting the costs. What Gary teaches us is your first hire. Does anybody know what your first hire should be? Always admin. Admin should always be your first hire. Once you have an admin, they're going to manage your database. They're going to manage your listings. They're going to manage all the boring stuff. You may be an admin and think it's very interesting. We need to talk. Or you may need to start interviewing with some of the other agents in this office. Based on your KPA, if you haven't taken a KPA, I highly recommend it. Most people are not. Some people are really good alone. Some people are better with 2 people. Most people do better with a couple of other people on the team. I'm terrible by myself. You put me with the right people on the right bus, we're on fire. Admin, do we know what our second hire is? Thank you. Your TC. Notice there are no agents, there's no sales. So at this point, the rainmaker is now responsible for all the sales and all the appointments, getting the listing signs, the buyer's agreement signs, and right now Rainmaker is also showing all the properties. So next, only next. Don't get these out of order. OSA, ISA. So that's outbound sales agent, inbound sales agent. At this point, they're doing both. So if you're leveraging your listings properly, according to the MREA, you should be getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of inquiries about your listings. Well, you need someone to handle that because you have your sales that you're doing. So you got two people doing sales. And then when you get too busy and you're making too much money, the next level, you're going to need a showing agent. So notice at this point, there's still no buyer's agent. There's still no second agent. We see teams that are like market centers within a market center because they have 5 buyer's agents and 5 listing agents, or some agents are doing listings and some are doing buying, and everyone's doing both. And so it's like a restaurant. If you go to a restaurant, is the cook going to clean the toilet? No. Is the manager serving the food? Is the greeter taking the order? Everybody has their role. And so as you grow a team, knowing that putting people in place that operate within their strengths. Alicia's our admin. She's done transaction coordinating and admin. She can get you to the closing table. I don't have to worry about, once we get under contract, she does 95% of the work. I don't have to worry about that. So I get to focus on my strengths, and it's not admin.
Okay, so keep that there. Now flip the lens and use a different lens. Why is that more profitable?
Well, it's a tremendous amount more of energy, because if Alicia had to get on the phones for 3 hours a day, she'd probably die. It's just not her wheelhouse. Not everybody is really strong in those areas, but her admin skills are great. Christian, he set the largest closed appointment in the history of our market center. And he doesn't even do anything outside of our 20 by 10 foot office. He set the appointment. So Christian just gets on the phone and set appointments. He doesn't go on appointments. He doesn't sign the deals. So everybody's operating within their strengths. And because of that, we have more energy. We have more energy to take exactly what we're doing, narrowing our focus. Everybody's able to increase the customer experience because everyone's operating in their strengths.
So is your OSA, ISA in-house or virtual?
He's in-house.
In-house, okay.
In-house.
So
He's
they show up every
a
day.
licensed agent, yeah.
Licensed agent. How do you compensate that position?
We start with 10%.
Okay.
He gets 10%. He gets another 12.5 if he brings the lead in. So he can get up to 22.5%. We pay the caps.
Okay. As in the team.
Yeah.
Israel, did that answer your question? You had a question on there as live. Okay, yes.
Are they hourly?
No. So our admin is salary. Sales, if he doesn't sell, he doesn't get paid. So, yeah.
Is there a ramp up to get people? Because obviously you're not getting paid right away. So the question is always, how do I build into that to be more commission based?
Well, I mean, that's like natural selection, right? So someone that joins and goes through the entire KPA process, we use a 30, 60, 90 day, 30-day evaluation. If they're not selling anything, if they're not making any progress, if you're a good leader, they're going to quit before you fire them. Honestly, not everybody's fit for that position. Is that the question you're asking?
Well, it's a role. So it could, I mean, it's a 90-day business,
Yeah.
right? So getting somebody up and trained and getting in a position where they're going to actually get a return on the work that they put in could take 90 to 120 days.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So
That's absolutely correct.
Do you do a little ramp up and do maybe a little guaranteed for the first 90 days?
Everything's negotiable.
Okay. Okay. All right. Very good.
If
Okay.
they don't ask, I don't.
So where I was also going with the profitability, the expense, right? We have two things in this business, right? We have a cost of sale and we have an expense. There's a big difference between the two. Most people don't understand that, but yet you're really relying, most of this is an expense, i.e. a salary and not a cost of sale. Why does that make you more profitable?
Okay, so this is a cost of sell.
It is.
Okay, do we know the difference between a cost of sell and expense? Because this confused me.
Yep.
First.
Explain it to us.
A cost of sell is not a number that you can put on your budget because it's directly tied to the sell. So you know the 30-30-40 model. So if you make $100,000, you should not be spending more than 30,000 on commissions, 30,000 on expenses, fixed expenses, and 40 has to be your profit. If you're below 40, we need to, probably make some cuts and make some changes. So the cost of sell is what Christian gets paid when the deal closes.
Yep.
And if the deal doesn't close, Christian doesn't get paid for that deal. Now, no matter what happens, my TC, or well, not my TC, but my admin is going to get paid a salary. Now, if she's not doing that great of a job, we go back to 3069, but her salary's fixed, plus there's other compensation options on top of that as well.
So here's the biggest struggle that I see is, hey, we're going to partner up with another person. You're basically working the leads you would already capture yourself. And then you take a cost of sale and you go, oh, well, 50-50, and you just lowered your money.
Right.
And yet real profitability comes in expense. What's the scary part of expense? You're on the hook for it every month, no matter what happens.
Right.
Obviously, we can train some people, and people get scared of the expense. No, expense keeps your operation lower and you make more profitability, and it's a switch.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to go with that. And an ISA, OSA model is not a lot of risk, right?
Very low risk.
But if you just leave it all to them and you stop lead generating, it's not a great model either.
That's bad for everyone.
Yeah, well,
That's
tell us
bad.
more. Yeah.
Well, the sales agent, probably 50 to 60+% of his leads come from our listings. Who's getting the listings? It's the rainmaker. So
Right.
especially in this market right now, his phone is blown up. I don't have the margin to answer all those calls. I've got 6,400 people, 8,400 people in my database that I'm responsible for nurturing. So he's adding, so we're very intentional. Everyone we talk to, we do add to our database.
Yep.
We ask permission to follow up. We ask them if they had what their needs are. Christian's trained on that. I've been trained on that. We practice that with each other as well. And we're intentional about following up. We have a system that reminds us to call people back when we say we're going to call people back. That's important.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
On the OSA and the ISA, when did you decide, well, like how many listings do you have before those people are kept full-time? And what do you pay them? Are they just callers?
No,
Just
he already
answer.
told the compensation, that's 10%.
Yeah.
Unless they procure the lead themselves, it can go up as high as 22. But when did you add them to the team?
Well, we were profitable first. So we go back to a year ago, 15 months ago, it was me and an admin. Once we had profits above like 50%, that's when you're maintaining profits above 50%, anything above 40, you can start to look at that. If your profits are below 40, do not hire anyone. That's kind of the magic number. You look at your profits. If you're getting tired and your profits are high,
It's time, yeah.
Now, if you take career visioning, which when it comes back to Houston, I highly recommend doing that. You should always, if your goal is to grow a team, to have a team, you should always, no matter what situation you're in, prospecting for talent. The talent that you're going to find, the best source of your talent is any guesses?
In your database.
It's in your database.
Yep.
So sometimes we talk to agents. I add agents to my database. I try to have a strong relationship with other agents as well, because they may be a good fit for the team. Probably not, but they might be. But if not, there's also a chance they may be a good fit for Keller Williams, which will go into my, begin to growing your downline at that point. I don't know if that answers your question, but 40% is that magic number. That's the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah, so you're over that. Time to add somebody to that.
That's the first time I've heard it this way. I've heard the admin and TC. And I've always thought the next step is buyer's agent.
Well, go into your showing model, right? I assume you're using agents in the office and
Yeah.
not really on your team. Yeah.
For
Or they are.
showings.
Yeah,
For
for the showing
showings.
agents. Yeah.
But you said you thought the next was a showing agent or a buyer? Yeah, don't do that. Don't. So this is how we're going to do. The thing about the buyer's agent's also a mini rainmaker. So if I add a buyer's agent, or when we add a buyer's agent to the team, the buyer's agent's going to take over, and they can have their own showing agents. Now, here's the thing that buyer agent has to do. You could be like, the coolest person, here's a house, blah, blah, blah. You can be great at setting appointments. But that buyer agent isn't bringing a third of the business to the table. We got a problem because now that buyer agent is taking money out of my pocket. And so if we're going to work together, everybody needs to be contributing. And so before I add a buyer's agent, this is kind of hard. This is not easy. It's going to take time to find the right person. You want a lot of work, hire the wrong person, you'll know what work really is. If we can get someone that loves to show properties and can sell, if the showing agent can't sell, you're a showing agent. That's just what you're going to be. But if you're a showing agent and you can prove that you can sell, that's a buyer's agent, in my opinion. If you can get buyer's agreements signed, and you know how to work with buyers, you know how they tick, you know the market, and you're going to get on the phone and lead gen every day, that's an expectation on the Jones Realty Group. So
Okay.
until we find that magic piece, we're not moving forward. So.
Okay, I'll ask that last question. What's the one thing you want to leave us with? As I'm sitting here and nods, you just poured into us for what?
I think that
35
everybody,
minutes? Yeah. What do you want to really leave us with?
you know, what kind of kept me from, we all have different levels of ceilings. And I had to ask myself, what was my big why? What was my purpose? I have 4 children. One's in college. One is 3. What is my big purpose? My purpose, my big why is just knowing your big why is to have more time with my family than I am working. Pretty simple. Have enough passive income where I can spend more time with my family. So I would start with your big why. And then from that big why, ask yourself this: what's the one thing I can do that by doing that will make this possible and will make everything unnecessary? And when I asked myself that question, it was time blocking. It was getting on a schedule. And then I asked myself, okay, so time blocking, getting on a schedule, doing the same things every day, falling in love with the process. What's the one thing you can do by doing that will make everything easier or unnecessary? Well, start my morning routine, get that going. Well, what does that look like? Well, I want to exercise, I want to read, I want to write, I want to do all these things. But what's the one thing that you can do by doing that will make everything easier or unnecessary? Well, I guess, Chad, I got to wake up earlier. Okay. What time do you got to wake up? Well, if I'm going to read my Bible, write in my journal, and exercise, and be at work by 8, I'm looking at 5:15. Okay. What's keeping you from doing that? I don't like waking up early. What's the one thing you can do by doing that will make everything easier or unnecessary? Go to bed earlier. What's keeping you from doing that? And just work my way backwards and slowly just identified it to one thing. Turn the TV off and go to bed. That connected me all the way back to my big why. And it worked. It worked.
That's good stuff. All right. We appreciate you coming in and
Appreciate being
pouring.
here, yeah.
That was great value, by the way. And so what I would summarize is models and systems, right? Just follow them and get out of the way. And that is a true models and systems way as well. All right, we're at the end of our meeting. Our business partners, why don't you come on up? MCAT,
By the way, if anybody ever has
Patton.
questions or
Yeah, thank you,
pick
Austin.
my brain, take out your phone now. Text me your name. 281-910-1238. I am your friend.
All right, awesome.
Chad.
That's great
Thanks, guys.
stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. All right.